Hartford, Connecticut, aglow at night, the insurance capital of the country. And tonight, a couple of teams trying to ensure themselves of a higher seed in the NCAA tournament in a couple of months. Gino Auriemma, the mastermind of 5 national championships at UConn tonight, a daunting challenge ahead for his team, trying to figure out a strategy against last year's National Player of the Year, Simone Augustus of LSU, the preeminent talent in women's college basketball. Well, they say here in Connecticut that Gino Auriemma's strategy is like money, hard currency. And it has been 5 times before. Welcome, everybody. It's a Martin Luther King Day special here on ESPN2, part of Big Monday. Number 3 LSU against number 7 UConn, a game that has been highly anticipated and debated by players on both teams for a number of weeks. I'm Mark Jones along with Carol Lawson. Thanks for coming aboard. Rebecca Lobo joining us in just a few. When you look at some of the talent on this court tonight, really amazing. And when you look at 2 of our perimeter players, you know, last year's Player of the Year might be this year's Player of the Year too, Carol.
Well, I think she's the leading candidate so far this season, Mark. Simone Augustus, and what makes her so special is her off the ball. She understands what it takes every night to score against defenses designed to stop her. And then, of course, you have her counterpart on the other side, Annie Struther, who's really stepped up her play this year, feeling that sense of urgency as a senior to step up and lead this team.
Struther liking the bright lights of late, and right now we go courtside to Rebecca Lobo.
Well, Mark, this morning we asked Coach Auriemma how he was going to defend Sylvia Fowles, and he said we are going to foul her. We are going to use all 20 of our big guys' fouls against her. And while that may be an exaggeration, UConn will be very physical with Sylvia. They will take it at her on the offensive end and body her on the defensive end. And if the 60% free throw shooter has an easy look, Connecticut will put her on the line instead of giving up the easy 2.
Sometimes easier said than done. Fouls coming off a very impressive showing a few nights ago against South Carolina. As we take a look at our starting lineups, LeBlanc, Hostin, Augustus, Thomas, and Fowles for LSU. Montgomery, Wolf making her 7th consecutive start. Thomas, Turner, and Ann Strother, the leading scorer for UConn. The officials for today's game: Dee Cantor, Lisa Mattingly, and Denise Brooks. Wowzer. Pokey Chapman, 47-3 in her 2nd season as LSU's head coach. Former player at LSU, former All-American, and apprentice under the late Sue Gunther. It's the 2nd best 50-game start in NCAA history. LSU coming into this game, Kara, looking to equal the best start ever in school history.
Well, they've done a tremendous job so far this season of taking care of business, and that's what Pokey Chapman talked about, keeping this team focused. This is going to be a tough task tonight. You step out of the SEC, Mark. You come to one of the toughest places to play in America, the Civic Center, and you try to knock off the UConn Huskies.
Interesting that some people would look at this game and say that UConn actually comes in a bit of an underdog on their own home floor as LSU controls the opening tip. LeBlanc out top, working against Renee Montgomery. There's Augustus on the wing, guarded by Nicole Wolf. Hostin from the corner, and Hostin has really caught fire offensively of late, upping her numbers.
Well, that's huge for LSU. She needs to be that 3rd scorer, that consistent threat for them, I think, to be a team that goes to the Final Four and possibly win a national title.
Here's Strother trying to counter from downtown. Rebound to Fowles. LSU with still some questions at the point guard position. Ashante LeBlanc out top the Fowles. LeBlanc and White replacing Tamika Jackson. Now in the WNBA with Washington. Augustus knocks down the baseline jump shot, and it's 5-0 LSU. Montgomery coming back for UConn. Montgomery out top. Little motion and passing game. Mel Thomas off the screen. They close out on her quickly and partially deflected that time by Hostin. LeBlanc quickly up court to Augustus. Augustus coming up a little bit short. Didn't appear to be tipped either. Wolf on the floor, and here's Montgomery for UConn.
Well, a lot of people talk about Mark and LSU offensively. Of course, you have Simone Augustus and Sylvia Fowles, but it's defensively where they've been really stellar this season. You have long athletes that are able to contest shots.
Another miss that time by Barbara Turner. You speak of LSU's defense, Kara, and they are number 1 in the country in points per game defense, giving up just 46.6 per. Here's Hostin on the wing, working on Mel Thomas. Go inside to Fowles with the turnaround, and Sylvia Fowles missing that time, out of bounds off of UConn. It'll be LSU ball. Fowles, remember, was coming off the bench last year, was the 6th man of the year in the SEC. This year a starter.
And as you look at what UConn is doing defensively, they're really trying to sag off players in the paint, protect the paint, not let Sylvia Fowles get good catches. And the perimeter defenders for UConn, all 3 of them, not just Nicole Wolf, who's guarding Simone Augustus, know where Simone is at all times.
15 on the shot clock for the Lady Tigers. Here's LeBlanc. Inside to Augustus on the baseline. Fowles with the rebound. Tried to put it up underneath, out of bounds, and it'll come back the other way to UConn. Fowles a double-double machine this year, averaging 17.4 to go along with almost 11 rebounds, that time missing from close range. UConn still hasn't scored. What do they have to do here?
It's a matter of being patient. You have to be patient. LSU is stellar defensively. As we talk about the length and the athleticism, take good shots. Strother had a good shot at the top of the key. Barber turned to miss one as well. You have to be patient here early on.
And Dee Cantor calls a foul against LSU, and Rashante LeBlanc with her first personal foul. We talked about this impregnable defense of LSU's, giving up the fewest points in the nation, a little under 47 per. Really going to test the UConn team that has a healthy scoring average of about 78. Strother nails the 3 from downtown.
You knew that was coming. If you give Annie Strother that many good looks, she has 2 so far, she's going to knock it down. Shooting about 40% from the 3-point line. She's been a consistent perimeter threat for them all year.
Here's Augustus off the curl, inside to Fowles. And they come with the double team immediately. That's going to be an offensive foul against Sylvia Fowles. And that's one thing that she mentioned during shoot-around this morning. She has to stay out of foul trouble. You go back to LSU's game a couple of runs ago before the South Carolina contest against Minnesota. She had 2 quick ones, had to sit the first half. They trailed by 4 at the break against the Gophers.
Well, they really struggle without her in the game. As you see Mel Thomas with another open shot. LSU giving UConn open 3s early on. But what Sylvia Fowles does is she's an anchor in the paint, especially defensively. When they don't have her, you lose that intimidation factor for those perimeter players trying to drive the lane.
And that time, Carol, they call a 3-second violation against the Lady Tigers. Their second turnover of the ball game, and LSU leading 5-3. A nice opportunity for both coaches, they told us, to step out of conference at this time of the season and face a different type of test. Thomas out top. Gets the pass back from Strother. Mel Thomas driving. Not really her game. She's more a spot shooter. Out of bounds, and it'll be UConn basketball. Mel Thomas, though, last year had a preseason ankle injury and was never really the same. Broke her nose after that, and her confidence was also shattered. And this year, a totally different story for her. The second leading scorer at just under 15 points a game. Here's UConn on offense. Strother, actually, that's going to be Wolf on the wing. Cross court to Strother, 5 on the shot clock. Rebound Augustus. There are so many different dimensions to her game. Austin on the wing. With a little over 4 minutes in this ball game. Good ball pressure out front by Montgomery. There's Augustus working over Wolf. Fowles almost got an over the back foul. Almost her second, came very close to picking it up. Thomas in the corner. Montgomery from downtown. And both teams shooting as cold as the frigid Connecticut night outside. Simone Augustus was the player of the year last year. Maybe once again this season.
We nicknamed her Toughness.
Are you kidding?
She understands her leadership can come in a quiet way.
Augustus? How do you stop that?
She just got it all.
Simone Augustus is starting to play like Simone Augustus.
A look at the state capitol aglow here in Hartford, Connecticut. Cold outside and a little frigid inside as well. Both teams not shooting well from the field. A combined 3 of 16. LSU with a 2-point lead. And Simone Augustus grew up playing first against boys when she was 9 years old. She as an 8th grader was already about 6 feet tall, and she is a double-double scoring machine. 76 consecutive double-figure scoring appearances and averaging 20 points per game on the season. Off to another great start for the undefeated LSU Lady Tigers. Turner out top. On the wing to Montgomery. Sharday Houston is checked into the ball game, and she doesn't even break a sweat before pulling the trigger on one. Strother from downtown, that's off. Houston with the putback, and good.
Well, that's what Sharday Houston gives Connecticut. She's a player that Gino Auriemma says has National Player of the Year type ability. Doesn't get that many minutes, but when she comes in, she makes the most of them.
Well, she's pretty efficient at 16 points in 15 minutes in their last game, a win against St. John's, and really was pivotal in their second half run. She keyed most of it. Here's fouls out top for the Lady Tigers. 10 on the shot clock for LSU. LeBlanc on the wing. 4 on the shot clock. Austin's got to go with it. She barely gets it off. Thomas with the rebound, and she's fouled in the process by Renee Montgomery. And let's go to Rebecca courtside.
Before the Tennessee game, Sharday Houston was getting limited minutes on the court and a lot of criticism from her coach off it. When I asked her what has changed since that game, Sharday told me she's had more energy and intensity in practice and is showing coach every day that she wants to be there. She said she knows she has a lot of growing to do, wants to improve every day, and needs to match coach's intensity in games and practice. He has enough confidence on her to put her on one-on-one against Simone Augustus.
We'll see how she responds, Rebecca. Interesting observation, and here comes Montgomery back the other way for UConn. Turner with a wide open look. Knocks it down. Barbara Turner.
There is a maturation process that comes. A lot of times you have players that are as highly talented as Sharday Houston. A lot of people thought she was one of the best, if not the best, high school player in the country when she came to Connecticut. And you have to learn how to play Gino Auriemma's system and learn to know what he expects from you every night.
Had an Achilles injury just prior to the North Carolina game earlier in December, and is still kind of recovering from that. Meanwhile, the ball knocked away. It'll come back the other way for UConn. That was the 4th turnover of the ball game for the Lady Tigers. Off to a very slow start. They're down by 2. 13:38 to go here in the first half. Number 3 against number 7. Part of Big Monday. Houston with a nice crossover move. Trying to force that one just a little bit. Fouls, clears for LSU.
You can really sense the infusion of energy that Sharday Houston brings to the UConn Huskies, particularly on the offensive end of the floor. Much more confident bunch since she's been in the game.
The Lady Tigers, Kara, haven't scored in about 6 minutes now. And once again, they go deep into the shot clock, but it pays off with a nice lob inside the fouls for the Cubs.
Well, that was a great job by Rashante LeBlanc. If you haven't scored in 6-7 minutes, you get it down to the big dog in the paint. I bet you Sylvia Fowles will score for you.
And Turner travels. That's the first turnover, meanwhile, for UConn. Hey, folks, number 1 takes on number 2 next on ESPN2 as next week as Candace Parker and Tennessee take on Monique Curry and number 1 Duke. That says number 1 Tennessee against number 2 Duke. Next week on Big Monday. And you know what? It's going to be interesting to see Tennessee. They held off the challenge against UConn just 9 days ago and looked very good in the process.
That's going to be a tremendous atmosphere. The Cameron Crazies will be out. Number 1 versus number 2. Monique Curry, Candace Parker, probably the premier freshman in the land.
Shauna Zolman with a big game a couple of nights ago. 7-7 here, LSU and UConn. Nice feed inside to Brittany Hunter. And it's 9-7 for UConn. Austin on the wing. Augustus fouled in the process by Sharday Houston, and Houston looks at Lisa Mattingly in disbelief. And Simone Augustus will go to the free throw line, an 85% free throw shooter. And not only does she shoot a great percentage from the free throw line, but she shoots about 56% from the field. She's not one to force shots, and that, more than anything else, might be the most impressive thing about her game.
I think that is probably her greatest asset, the fact that she's so smart. You rarely see her take a bad shot, and for a player of her caliber, where defenses night in and night out are trying to stop Simone Augustus, she moves so well without the basketball. She gets to the line, she can score in a variety of ways, and that's what's made her the National Player of the Year.
Knocks down the second of 2 foul shots, and LSU down by 1, approaching 12 minutes to go here in the first half. Keisha Soignier has checked into the ball game for UConn to run the point. Soignier on the baseline working against LeBlanc. Going to be a foul outside against Florence Williams, who has checked in for LSU. Interesting to note that Florence Williams is coming off a 3-game suspension for undisclosed violations of team rules. And we have a timeout on the floor. Banners above here at the Civic Center in Hartford. And who will be cutting down the nets? When we come back, we'll continue our celebration of the top 25 championship moments in women's college basketball history and reveal number 24. A low-scoring first half so far. UConn with a 1-point lead, 11:51 to go in the first half. You know, this year marks the 25th anniversary of the NCAA Women's Championship. Now, to celebrate, we're counting down the top 25 championship moments, one a week through the championship game on April the 4th. Time now to spotlight moment number 24, brought to you by Singular. After 24 years, it still stands. Drake lost the game to Maryland in the 1982 tournament, but not before Lori Bauman lit it up for 50 of Drake's 78 points, setting the women's NCAA tournament single-game scoring record, unequaled, unmatched to this day. And back to the action, a traveling violation against Sharday Houston. LSU down by a single with 11:48 to go in the first half of play. Uncharacteristically a slow first half offensively for both teams. Here's Hostin on the wing. Interesting that they would lift fouls and bring her away from the basket. Hostin driving baseline, and she's fouled on her move to the cup.
Well, I like her attack mentality so far. I think she's so important, Mark, to this team's success, especially against stellar teams when you're talking about playing the Connecticut Huskies. Shalonda Hostin, I think, as a senior, needs to be a scoring threat, needs to look for a shot and take pressure off Simone Augustus and Sylvia Fowles.
There's Hostin at the free throw line, an 83% free throw shooter. As we go courtside to Rebecca Lobo.
Guys, in that last huddle, Pokey Chapman told her team, we are forcing the ball offensively. Move the ball, wait on screens, cut, and move without the ball. She said, make them guard us. Right now, we are not making them defend us.
And that usually, Rebecca and Kara, is a very big trait, a signature of Pokey Chapman's offense, is their patience and their diligence, running plays all the way through. Not the case so far.
Well, that's what helps make them so successful offensively. When you play LSU, you know you're going to have to get down. You're going to have to guard that motion offense. You're going to have to guard reads and cuts and players being smart and looking to read their defense to get good shots.
Thomas tries to make the feed inside, and nice help defense from LeBlanc, but she stepped out of bounds. LSU averaging almost 78 per coming in, but tonight shooting well below that average and ranking number 2 in the country offensively with 50% from the field. Right now shooting just 30%, but they called the timeout off the nice steal by LeBlanc. LSU trying to equal its best start in school history. Something done by the 2002 edition of the Lady Tigers. We're going to take a timeout and come right back after this. Welcome back, everybody. The Civic Center of Hartford. Simone Augustus, last year's National Player of the Year, still trying to get in rhythm and untracked offensively, as is her entire team. Albeit they lead 10-9 so far. Both teams not shooting well from the field. Williams driving baseline. Forced one up. Turner with the rebound for UConn. Soignier with a nice feed inside, and Hunter rejected by Sylvia Fowles.
Such an imposing presence down there. When you get the ball one-on-one, usually with 2 feet in the paint like Brittany Hunter does, that's an advantage for the offensive player. But when the defensive player is Sylvia Fowles, I think the advantage goes to the defense.
LeBlanc tips it away, and getting back to Fowles, her growth and development continues to be quite meteoric when you look at her as the leading scorer and the leading rebounder on the World University Games team this past summer. They played in Turkey and won the gold medal. She did a lot of that over there too. LSU still in its man defense. Soignier out top. Boy, Fowles and Hunter battling on the blocks. Strother on the baseline. Rejected by Fowles. A clean block. Got a call underneath by D. Cantor. And it's going to be LSU basketball.
Well, that's just an unbelievable sequence, and you see the presence that Sylvia Fowles has. And Strother looks like she has an open take to the basket. Not only is Sylvia Fowles big and strong, she's also quick. She knows how to play help side defense, and with that length, there's going to be no easy baskets for Connecticut all night when they try to drive that lane.
See if they can get her a touch this time on offense. LeBlanc left wide open. They lob it up top, and that's going to be a foul against UConn, and Brittany Hunter, who was undercutting Fowles as she went up to accept and receive the pass. That's her third personal foul in a hurry. And Houston comes back into the ball game for Brittany Hunter. But that's one of the luxuries that UConn has, is a lot of depth on the bench. When you look at Houston and Hunter and Soignier, Green still hasn't gotten any run yet.
Well, they can come at you with a variety of fronts and really change the way they play offensively or defensively by virtue of who they have in the game.
Augustus missing the jump shot, and Turner making the pay at the other end. Barbara Turner, one of those players that does a lot of the unseen things, a lot of the intangibles for UConn. As the Huskies now with a 1-point lead, 9:39 to go in the first half. They're really packing it in against Sylvia Fowles. Austin kicks it back out. That's going to be a 3-second violation against LSU. Maybe one pass too many that time. That's the 5th turnover for the Tigers.
If you watch LSU on offense, you see LeBlanc catching the ball. Look like she has open looks at the basket. You'll see Flo Williams catch the ball. She has open looks at the basket. They are playing scouting report defense in Connecticut. They're going to give certain players open looks and dare them to make the jump shots.
Soignier out top, swings it weak side. Soignier looking inside. 10 on the shot clock for Hunter. Turner misses it. Rebound Fowles, one and done for UConn. Fowles out top, they swing it around. 3 bodies around Fowles on the catch. LeBlanc. And no offensive rebound that time for LSU. Soignier got all the way to the bucket and kicked it out. Houston inside and one. Sharday Houston with an opportunity to complete the 3-point play.
Well, she's UConn's best all-around offensive player. She has so much ability. When she catches, the first thing she's looking to do is score the basketball. And she's going to attack, attack, attack until she gets what she wants, either a basket and a foul, and in that situation, she was able to get both. And
the inauspicious news for LSU, by contrast, is that that was the 2nd personal foul against Sylvia Fowles, so she goes to the bench. Do you agree with that philosophy of getting your 2nd and automatically having to sit?
I think so. I think you do, especially when you have a player like Sylvia Fowles. If it's a post player that's in the paint where there's a lot of contact, you can't really afford to have them get that 3rd foul so early in the game.
Florence Williams, meanwhile, way off the mark, and back come UConn. Up by 4. Nicole Wolf out top now to Montgomery. Strother for 3. A little bit strong, but good hustle inside by Houston. And the putback.
I'll tell you, with Sylvia Fowles out of this game, Sharday Houston could have a field day offensively because there's not a player out there that can guard her or that can even come over the help side to give the man guarding her a little bit of help.
Well, that 11-day break after the North Carolina game has helped her foot injury. Off the miss by Augustus. Rebound Houston. Right now, Sharday Houston ubiquitous. She is around every loose ball. They're trying to work it inside to Turner. Here's Houston out top. 7.5 minutes to go in the first half. Houston with a nice step through. Got it. Sharday all day for UConn. And this is LSU's biggest deficit of the season at 8 points.
You just sensed it, Mark. You sensed that Sharday Houston was ready to take over this game. You don't have that big presence in the middle. She attacks. She has all the skills, especially when she catches at that right elbow. She loves to drive right. She can give you the up and under. She can give you the spin move. They're going to have a hard time guarding her. The key for LSU, do not let this game get away here as you get in the middle stretch of the first half.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see from an LSU perspective where the offense is going to come from, but no question where the offense is coming from as far as UConn goes. It's coming from Sharday Houston, and with her, it has been a question at times of conditioning and rebounding from this recent setback, a foot injury. Houston now back on Gino Auriemma's bench, getting a breather. UConn in the midst of a 9-0 run during the last 4 minutes. Austin inside to Williams with the fall away. No good. Turner clears with bad intentions on that rebound. Here's Montgomery. And it's an 11-0 run for the Huskies.
Everything seems to be going UConn's way right now, and you see the quality of shot that LSU is getting every possession down the floor. It's contested, and contested sometimes by 2 players.
Austin with a quick 3. UConn in transition in a rush. And it's picked off by Austin. And Austin snaps the Lady Tiger drought. 6.5 minutes to go in the first half. LSU just trying to hang on until the break, perhaps, with Sylvia Fowles on the bench with a couple of fouls. Montgomery running the show for now for UConn. Onette Crockett in the ball game, and Turner fouled underneath by Ashley Thomas. Timeout on the floor, and it has been Sharday all day, all night with the step through. Back after this. Big Monday here in Hartford, Connecticut, the Civic Center on Martin Luther King Day. It's LSU down by 8 to UConn. UConn with a couple of losses. LSU, one of 4 undefeated teams in women's college basketball. Tennessee, Duke, North Carolina, and LSU. And LSU coming in ranked number 3 in the nation. I'm Mark Jones along with Kara Lawson and Rebecca Lobo courtside. Sylvia Fowles on the bench right now with a couple of fouls. There's a look at the 4 undefeated teams in the women's college basketball universe. But right now LSU reeling, trailing Connecticut by 8. It's almost a replay of the Minnesota game when Fowles got in trouble and they had to hang on until the break. They trailed by 4 at halftime in that one a couple of games ago.
When you have a player of her caliber on the bench, all you can really do is hope to hold on. As you see Sharday Houston just continuing her offensive onslaught against the interior defense of LSU.
Sharday Houston, a one-man wrecking crew inside for UConn. Cross court to Austin. Little show and go, and that's going to be an offensive foul against Shalonda Austin. That's her first personal foul. That's the 16th foul for LSU against 5 for UConn. Huskies leading by 10 with 5.5 to go here in the first half. Montgomery. That's almost picked off by Austin. Houston halfway down and out. That's going to be a foul against UConn.
You can just really sense the imbalance of LSU offensively as we take a look at Sharday Houston and what she's been able to do in the first half. She came in, Mark, and it was her activity, her energy early on. She's aggressive when she takes the basket. She's a decisive offensive player. And when you get the basketball, you don't have time to think too much. You have to be decisive, and she plays on her instincts, and that's what makes her so special.
Well, it's interesting that Gino says that he would play her anywhere between 25 and 28 minutes. If he could get to a point where he can stretch her out to 30, 33 minutes, who knows what kind of productivity she could put up on the board.
Well, I think he's hoping that point will be in late February and early March when they're hoping to make another title run.
Ashley Thomas, a.k.a. the A-Train, as her teammates call her, knocks down the foul line jump shot. LSU now to within 8 with 4:43 to go in the first half. LSU coming in undefeated at 14-0. UConn at 15-2. Sharday Houston had it stripped going to the bucket. Simone Augustus has numbers. It's a 3-on-2. Austin back to Augustus, and she couldn't finish. Augustus now 1 for 8 from the field. Swanier pulls it back out. Swanier and Montgomery doing a nice job running the point for Gino Auriemma so far. Here's Strother out top. Strother with the layup, and she's fouled, but she'll get a pair at the free throw line.
Now, do you see the difference? Do you see the difference defensively from LSU? We showed a replay earlier on when Ann Strother drove the baseline, and Sylvia Fowles comes over and gives help side. Now Ann Strother drives the baseline or drives the hole on the other side. Sylvia Fowles isn't in the game, and she's able to skate to the basket. That's the difference. Sylvia Fowles, to me, is the key and the reason why LSU is so potent defensively.
Meanwhile, Kara Strother knocks down the first of 2 free throws, an 89% free throw shooter on the season. Sylvia Fowles still on the bench, saddled with those 2 fouls. And Strother has picked up the pace this season offensively. Shooting better from the free throw line as well. Houston rife with hustle and effort. Sharday Houston, the story of the first half. She has 13 points in the game, the leading scorer in the contest.
Wow, there's a lot of things you can't control in a basketball game, but what you can is effort. And boxing out on the free throw, that's something that will drive coaches crazy.
Cheney in the ball game now for the Tigers. Cheney, a good 3-point shooter. We'll see if she can get open for a couple of looks. Meanwhile, this is Augustus, and they run a double team at her. And she almost coughs it up. Williams cross court to Cheney. 2 on the shot clock. LeBlanc missed everything. Staunch and stout defense by UConn, and that's what's doing it for Gino's crew so far. Sharday Houston cleaning up the mess. You know what they say about rebounding? It's like a good deodorant. Covers up a lot of stuff that's...
We're here in our studios with Stacey Dale Schumann. At the half, we'll tell you why this game is critical for UConn. Look ahead to a possible milestone again for Pat Summitt Thursday. How does LSU get back into this game, Stace?
This game, Trey, is all about the battle of the paint. It's very clear. Both coaches know this game will be won on the inside. Right now, Connecticut has the upper hand.
Yeah, they're using 3 players instead of 1, Sylvia Fowles. Numbers working. Let's send it back to Mark Jones and the incomparable Kara Lawson.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. And 11-point ball game right now. UConn with the lead with 3:26 to go in the first half. Sharday Houston with 13 points. The rest of her crew with 12. And she has done it with a lot of heart and hustle. Rather off the high post screen. Thomas out top. And just joining us, Sylvia Fowles on the bench with a couple of fouls. And she has been sitting for the good part of about the last 8 minutes now. Double team out top. Austin comes up with a steal on Turner, and it's stolen by Swanier.
Check out that speed, Mark.
Tough pass. She gave it right back. Austin knocked it away. It'll be UConn basketball. Can't fault the effort.
Excuse me. Sorry, solid defensive possession there. And if I'm LSU and I'm not playing well on the offensive end, you've been such a stout defensive team all year. Try to create easy opportunities from your defense.
Mel Thomas for 3. And LSU down now by 14 points as we go courtside to Rebecca.
Guys, in that last huddle, Pokey Chapman looked at her team and she said, we are lucky to be only down 11. We have 3.5 minutes to make our defense, help our offense come up to speed. Don't just be fast, do everything with a purpose. And even as bad as we are offensively, we can still make free throws. Get to the free throw line.
And that time, Rebecca, they jacked a quick 3. LeBlanc, not LeBlanc, but Cheney was the culprit that time. Swanier on the wing. Houston Rejected by Williams, but she got it back. The unremitting and unrelenting hustle of Sharday Houston. She could hit 20 before the end of the half.
She's been so superb in this first half. The attack mentality that she has, and she can score when she gets in the paint one-on-one. I don't know if I'm Pokey Chapman. Maybe I run a double team. Maybe I'm more physical with her. I have to do something to try and slow her down.
Augustus nails the three, and coming into the ball game, she was a 50% three-point shooter. And that's the one aspect of her game that Pokey Chapman tells us that has really improved from a season ago. They might need it tonight, down by 13 points, 1.5 minutes to go. Houston having a field day inside. That time missed a point-blank range over Williams. Out of bounds. It'll be LSU basketball. Wilnett Crockett coming into the contest. Catch all the smashing tennis action down under as ESPN2 serves up more coverage of the 2006 Australian Open. Tonight, catch early round tennis action from Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne. Coverage including Federer, Clijsters, and Hewitt. 2006 Australian Open on ESPN2 tonight at 9:30 Eastern. Approaching a minute to go here in the first half. Williams left wide open. That time finally knocking down a jumper. They have to make her player. Got to make some shots and get respected at the offensive end.
Well, some of the supplemental pieces that LSU are going to have to come with their offensive games if they're going to dig into this deficit. There's a lot of attention obviously being paid to Simone Augustus, but Sylvia fouls out of the game. Other people have to step up and knock down shots.
Simone Augustus just 2 of 9 from the field. Fouls on the bench with just 2 points in the game. Montgomery. Turner kept it alive, but it went right to Cheney.
Now, if I'm LSU here, this is a must-score opportunity for me. I played a terrible first half, but there's an opportunity here to get it into single digits. As you see, Cheney hit the nice jump shot, and you can go into half with some type of momentum. Smart time out here by Coach Gino Auriemma. Try to regroup your kids and get a good shot for the last offensive possession.
They get it under double figures. It's down to a 9-point advantage. And on the season, Augustus in fouls averaging a little over 37 per. Tonight, just 8. Augustus 2 of 9 from the field. Fouls 1 of 3 from the field. And more importantly, 2 fouls saddled on the bench right now. So the strategy you'd have to say has been successful against especially fouls, packing in the defense, and perhaps that's the 2 fouls a product of the frustration.
Well, I think it's a product of a frustration, but also the game plan. And we talked to Coach Gino Auriemma at shoot-around. He said, we're going to attack Sylvia Fowles on both ends. We're going to attack her on offense. We're going to attack her on defense. Maybe you get her in foul trouble, but in the least, Mark, you make her work on both ends. She plays a lot of minutes. You make her work for everything that she gets.
Montgomery up court for UConn. Houston stepping out top. There's Thomas working against Augustus. Houston's had the hot hand. We'll see what they go to here with 7 in the first half. 3 on the shot clock. Turner, that's not what they wanted. Augustus with the rebound, and that's the end of the first half. LSU very fortunate to be down just 9 points as Sharday Houston lighting up the Hartford Knight with 15 points on 7 of 13 from the field as we go courtside to Rebecca.
Coach Auriemma, Sharday Houston having another huge game in a big game. What has been the difference in her in the past 9 days?
I just think she's starting to round herself into shape. You know, her conditioning's gotten a lot better, and she's healthier than she was before. But mainly, I think she's gotten more work done in practice. So the more she works in practice, the more her confidence goes up, and the better she plays. And, you know, obviously, if she could do this every night for 30 minutes, even I could play her a lot, you know?
Hey, Simone Augustus and Sylvia Fowles combined to average about 37 points a game. They only have a combined 8 here in the first half. What have you done defensively to slow them down?
Well, we tried to give our guys as much help as possible. I mean, I think those 2 kids are really, really hard to guard, and I think we've done a great job of keeping Simone from getting into any kind of a rhythm, and luckily we got Sylvia in some fouls, but I would venture to say last 5 minutes, those 2 guys are going to be a problem.
All right, Coach, thanks so much. Good luck in the second half.
All right, thanks a lot, Rebecca. 9-point lead for UConn at the break. Trey and Stacy in the studio, guys. They've got a low jack on Augustus right now. Back to you.
Mark, thanks, and welcome in. Whatever they have on her, it's working, no question about it. Trey Wingo here with Stacy Dale Schumann. Stacy, at one point it was a 14-point lead for UConn. LSU has whittled away, and so far the key to this game is close to the bucket.
It is close to the bucket, and here's something real interesting. We have a really good research team here at ESPN, and our fellow in the back, Brett Edgerton, brought this to our attention. 42 players in the NCAA have made more three-pointers coming into this game than the entire LSU team. Gino Auriemma understood that. They shoot 32%. We're going to push them onto the outside and make them shoot that shot, and that's exactly what they've done. They've taken away the potent, the strong inside game of Ms. Fowles, and she is a demon on the inside. Look at the shots. They're not falling. Simone Augustus has had trouble. Excellent shading defense on her. And then the other side, we're going to win the battle of the paint. Sharday Houston has come in and made a tremendous impact, getting to the rim. And the beauty, folks, as you see here, when you get to the rim, close to the basket, you have an opportunity to get offensive rebounds. And that's exactly what has kept the lead for this UConn team and will propel them in the second half, I think, to have an upset here.
Well, UConn really needs this win. They played well against Tennessee. They were embarrassed against North Carolina earlier in the season. They need a statement win against a top 10 team. We'll see if it happens in the second half.
Welcome back, everybody. Big Monday from Hartford, Connecticut. Sharday Houston, a point-per-minute machine in the first half. 15 points in just 12 minutes. And a 9-point lead for UConn against the undefeated LSU Lady Tigers. I'm Mark Jones, courtside, along with Tara Lawson. Rebecca Lobo joining us in just a few. Interesting that Pokey Chapman, the head coach of LSU, told us before the game that she was a little bit wary and anxious about the depth of UConn. It turned out to be a valid point.
Well, the depth of UConn, they can throw so many different people at you. The one person that gave LSU so many problems in the first half was Sharday Houston, and she came off the bench with 15 points and 9 boards.
Meanwhile, for LSU, Simone Augustus, the player of the year last year, with just 6 points. And when you look at the misses on the shot chart, you see that she had some very good looks. One of her 2 field goals was a 3-pointer. So what does she have to do now in the second half to try and get on track offensively?
Well, Simone got good looks, and you see those shots close to the basket. She just has to exude confidence, stay calm, and be patient. She's the type of player that will eventually get into a rhythm. As you see, Sharday Houston and Gino Auriemma decides to start her, and he goes for a play right to her to see if she can continue her hot streak. But back to Simone. Exude confidence, exude patience, and keep your teammates calm. Eventually, she's going to get into a rhythm. Confidence
has always been a trait for Augustus. She's been in the national spotlight since she was 9 years old, and Sports Illustrated did a story. Here's Austin on the wing, inside the Fowles. What a tough first half, but a very auspicious beginning here in the second half for Sylvia Fowles, cutting the lead to 7 points. That's 4 points in the game for her. There's Turner. It'll be interesting to see if Houston is as effective as a starter here in the second half as opposed to coming off the bench. Mel Thomas for 3. And the lead back up to 10. LeBlanc out top. Austin being harassed by Montgomery out top. Augustus knocks down the jumper. At times her jumper almost seems to be flat, isn't it? It looks like it's a line drive, but it goes. I mean, you can't argue with 56% from the field.
It goes in, and right there, that was a shot. You saw Simone Augustus on balance, on rhythm. That's one of the things that Coach Gino Auriemma talked about at halftime. He said, we kind of kept her off balance. If you let Simone Augustus get shots in that pocket area, especially on the baseline, she's going to burn you.
There's LeBlanc. Austin on the wing, out top to Thomas. They swing it weak side. LSU not afraid to go deep into the shot clock, which they do here. 10 on the shot clock. Back out top to LeBlanc. Fowles posting up big with 5 on the shot clock. Austin under duress. Halfway down and out. Fowles had the ball stripped by Strother.
Wow, you won't see that very often.
Montgomery inside. Well, UConn has shown a lot of poise on offense. Turner just inside the three-point line. A long two goes down. Barbara Turner, with two seniors in the starting lineup for UConn. As the lead swells back up to 11 for the Huskies. Augustus out top. They run a double team at her. Augustus fading away that time.
See, there's what kind of is the graphic doesn't really show you, Marcus. That's a shot that's close to the basket, but she's falling away and it's contested by two players, so it really doesn't give you the full complement of what UConn has been doing to her defensively.
Turner driving on Fowles, taking it right at Sylvia Fowles, and Fowles comes up with the block. Auriemma protesting for a foul. Fowles out top. Just under 17 minutes to play in the second half. 11-point lead for UConn. LSU, one of 4 undefeated teams in women's college basketball. Look at how they leave LeBlanc alone. And Fowles is fouled underneath. Let's go courtside to Rebecca.
Well, Mark, you'll notice that LSU is much more patient in the half-court offense. Pokey Chapman told me that we need to make Connecticut guard us. I would like to see at least 2 ball reversals. I want more cuts and screens. We took too many outside shots in that first half. I want to get in the paint. She said if these things happen, both Fowles and Augustus will get more involved offensively this second half.
And with that, Rebecca, Fowles goes to the free throw line. A 60% free throw shooter. That's perhaps the one hole in her game right now, as we see an exhibit of why she's just shooting 60%. Played on the World University Games team that won the gold medal in Turkey. Was the leading scorer and rebounder on that Team USA squad, and she says that her low post defense has improved as a result of that international experience. Misses both free throws that time. The lead's still at 10. Montgomery for UConn. Huskies in a stretch of very tough games. Houston doesn't have a problem with it, though. Sharday Houston with 17, the leading scorer in the game.
We touched on the fact that Sharday Houston was a player that liked to step up and play well in big games. For some reason, when the lights come on, when the TV cameras are here, this young lady knows when to have big games.
Austin on the wing working against Mel Thomas. Inside, Fowles with great position. Lots of contact. The follow no good by Thomas, and here comes UConn. Montgomery with the pull-up. Missed everything. Pulled the string a little bit on that jump shot, and for the first time tonight, we see Erica White coming in for LSU. Timeout on the floor called with 15:54 to go in the second half. Sharday Houston starting the second half the same way she ended the first. Little string music. We'll be back right after this. Back in Hartford, UConn number 7 in the country against number 3 LSU, and the Huskies with a 12-point lead, 15:54 to go. I'm Mark Jones along with Carol Lawson and Rebecca Lobo courtside. Sharday Houston, the big story of the ball game. 17 points in about as many minutes with a 3rd career double-double and the first of the season. Gino Auriemma told me earlier this year, before the North Carolina game, a game they lost right here on this floor, that he expected a breakout season for Houston, and that seems to be coming to fruition tonight. Erica White running the show at the point for LSU. Let's see what they do coming out of this timeout. UConn in the zone, Carol.
2-3 zone, and Gino Auriemma is known for making good defensive changes, trying to keep LSU off balance. And you see Simone, another shot close to the basket, but she's not squared up and she's not on balance. She's not in an offensive rhythm.
Here's Erica White in a rush. Decides almost to pull it out. Hostin inside. And Hostin gets a fortuitous roll. Lead back down to 10 with 15-12 to go. Hostin with 9 in the ball game. LSU hanging around despite their cold shooting. Just 33% from the field, and Hostin doing it with defense. Their best on-the-ball defender cuts the lead to single figures at 8 points, and Gino Auriemma wants to talk matters over with his crew.
Boy, Hostin has stepped up tonight, and I touched on this in the first half. LSU needs to get more offense off of their defense to cut into this lead.
Her teammates call her Show, and she's trying to steal the show right now. Doing it by herself. It's an 8-point game when we come back. UConn leading by 8 points with 14:57 to go here in the second half. And don't forget, next week, part of Big Monday, #1 Tennessee with Candace Parker against #2 Duke with Monique Curry, a couple of Player of the Year candidates. And what a game that's going to be. A couple of undefeated Titans. Tennessee at 17-0, Duke at 16-0, and Pat Summitt going for win number 900 Thursday against Vanderbilt. And Pokey Chapman there in stark contrast, gunning for number 50, albeit in the embryonic stages of her head coaching career. The team with a little bit of work to do. See what UConn does out of this timeout. Turner out top for the Huskies. Thomas coming off the curl. Houston driving baseline, cut off but fouled by Shalonda Hostin. That is her second personal foul, but she's really doing a nice job trying to force the issue at the defensive end for LSU.
Well, she is, and you saw a little defensive change there by Pokey Chapman, putting quickness on Sharday Houston, so when she catches on the perimeter, Shalonda Hostin can do a better job of keeping Sharday Houston in front of her than a post player can.
Hostin looked pretty, Houston looked pretty comfortable on the window there. Mel Thomas in the corner. Inside. Hunter. That's a double dribble against Connecticut. Comes back the other way, and LSU with an opportunity on the 9th turnover of the ball game by the Huskies to cut the lead to 6. Augustus with Seymour and Mom Kim watching, knocks down the jump shot. Well, Seymour taught her to shoot using a special glove to keep the ball off the palm of her hand. Whatever he did as a youngster for Simone, it has worked. And the lead is down to 6 points in spite of the cold shooting. Just 37% from the field. LSU very much in this ball game.
Well, they're right in this ball game. And if I'm those players and that coaching staff, I have a short memory. I haven't played that great thus far, but I'm right in the ball game, right where I need to be. You keep it close and you try to steal a game in the end. That's how you win on the road.
Austin doing a nice job defensively that time, knocking it away from Houston.
Let's look at the difference in this shot as opposed to the other shots that Simone missed closer to the basket. Just more on balance. She still has 3 people around her, but she seems more composed. That's why she was able to knock the shot down.
13:41 to go in the second half. White almost with the foul. Houston from downtown, and fouls, clears, and a chance perhaps to cut the lead to 4 for LSU. And Houston has cooled off a little bit for UConn. Pokey Chapman with that defensive switch that you pointed out a few moments ago, using Shalonda Hostin as a quicker defender against Houston. Little zone look here by UConn. Hostin to Augustus for 3. A little bit strong, 1 and done. Houston with a rebound for UConn. Augustus now 1 of 2 from downtown in this game, 50% as well in the season. Back out top, Soignier running the show for UConn. Ariema holds up 4 fingers, calling out the play. White cuts off Soignier nicely. 10 on the shot clock. Thomas. Turner driving, and fouls made her change that shot. There's the value of Sylvia fouls and a chance for LSU to cut it to 4 points.
Something pretty funny there. You watch Gino Ariema on the sideline. He calls 44. I'm pretty sure that was an ISO for Houston since she had a perimeter player guarding her. And as Barbara Turner runs up down the court, he yells at her, "Why'd you run the wrong play? You got to get the ball to Sharday."
Austin on the drive. Tough pass inside. 6 on the shot clock. The Lady Tigers turn it over. Perhaps a little too unselfish. The 10th turnover of the ball game for LSU. A couple of subs coming into the ball game. Montgomery coming in for Turner. And Mel Thomas also out of the ball game, as Ann Strother comes in for UConn. 6-point ball game. Number 7 UConn against number 3 LSU. And Mark Jones along with Carol Lawson and Rebecca Lobo courtside. Strother out top. Ashley Thomas is guarding Houston. Here's Montgomery on the wing with 7 on the shot clock. Strother wide open 3. Missed everything. White on the move. Fouls has position but has 2 defenders on her, and White passed it to the wrong player. There was nobody even close on that one, Kerry. A drive and a foul. Foul is going to be called against Simone Augustus as Montgomery took her to the hole. Timeout on the floor with 11:44 to go for the Civic Center in Hartford. UConn with the lead when we come back.
Kara, back to you.
Shockwaves throughout the ACC, one of the tougher leagues in women's college basketball. And we'll get a look at the top dog in the ACC, Duke, next week as they take on Tennessee. Part of Big Monday right here on ESPN2. And, you know, Stacey Dale Schumann, I disagreed with her last week, said that I think North Carolina is the best team in the state.
North Carolina, I'll tell you what, they have as much talent, if not more talent, than anybody in the country. And Ivory Ladd is having a superb season. Best point guard in America.
Agree. Montgomery missing the first of 2 foul shots. Knocks down the second. Montgomery shooting 80% from the line this year. She has 3 points. Now a little three-quarter court look pressure from UConn. This is the first time we've seen this, Kara.
Well, it's just keeps your offense off balance, and you make players like Erica White and Rashante LeBlanc make decisions as a point guard. You know they're young decision makers.
And Hostin throws it away, so the defense rests and wins that one. The 11th turnover for LSU. They got something out of that somewhat token pressure. Here's Houston working this time against Ashley Thomas. Jump stop in the lane, and a soft shooter's touch for Sharday Houston with 19 now. UConn's lead back up to 9.
Well, there's a difference I talked about, Mark. You see Shalonda Hostin now on Ann Struthers. So Sharday Houston is going against a 4-player. It's very hard for 4 players around the country to contain her off the dribble because of her speed.
Good help on Augustus that time by Montgomery, and LSU turns it over again. Houston to the bucket. Got it. Sharday Houston with 21. Timeout, LSU. Over 15,000 strong here on their feet. And Sharday Houston playing at both ends of the floor tonight.
Well, you talk so much about what she's doing on the offensive end, Mark, but I think it's her activity, it's her energy that has separated her tonight. Very active in the passing lane there, able to drive the full length of the court and finish, and that's what she's done tonight. Time and time again, she's finished shots at the basket.
Last year as a freshman, she averaged about 11 points and 5 rebounds a game, and struggled earlier this year with an Achilles injury on her right foot. Started to compensate, then had a left foot injury, but had that 11-day break after the North Carolina game, and right now looks like an entirely different player. Sharday Houston coming off a strong performance in her last run, had 16 points in 15 minutes against St. John's a couple of nights ago. Has 21 with the meter running still. 11-point lead for the Huskies. Sylvia Fowles has been kept relatively quiet here in the second half. White driving, but a nice roll. Approaching the midway point, and it's a 9-point contest. Strother off the curl. Cheney has checked into the ball game for the Tigers. She's a shooter. Montgomery out top for UConn. Montgomery lets it fly. And Fowles clears for LSU. Fowles still having a tough time getting touches at the offensive end.
Well, that's just the product of the defense. You playing against great players like Simone Augustus and Sylvia Fowles, you have to make it tough for them, not only to score, but tough for them to even catch the basketball, and that's what UConn's doing thus far.
Well, Chapman decided to put Cheney in and try and use that bullet. That time she missed the jump shot. Cheney is a shooter. You got to get what you can out of her right now. Approaching 9 minutes to go. Soignier on the wing. Strother with 5 on the shot clock. Got to go. Augustus with the defense. Houston comes up short. That's a shot clock violation. LSU basketball. Down by 9 with just under 9 minutes to play. Mel Thomas comes in along with Barbara Turner for the Huskies.
Right there, that's a solid defensive possession by LSU. You need to string a couple of those together to try and chip into this lead. But you hang your hat on your defense when your offense is stagnant. And so far tonight, the offense has been stagnant for LSU. It's kind of been off balance. You got to hang your hat on your defense and try to get some stops.
Simone Augustus just 4 of 14. The reigning National Player of the Year. Ice cold. And Chaney thought about shooting it before she caught it. And it's the 13th turnover of the ball game as a result for LSU. She had her eyes focused on the bucket before making the catch. 8.5 minutes to go. UConn with the lead. LSU trying to remain amongst the ranks of the undefeated. 14-0 coming in. Houston trying to change all that. Fouls with the rebound. LSU still with an opportunity. Chaney cut off on the help and threw up a brick. Out of bounds. It'll stay with LSU.
Just not a good shot there, and you just sense impatience by LSU on the offensive end. You have to find a way to get Simone Augustus or Sylvia Fowles the basketball in their comfort zone.
And Augustus pushed out of bounds on the foul. From our vantage point, we can see Seymour Augustus, Simone's father, working the officiating crew of Kantner, Mattingly, and Brooks right behind that LSU bench. Talked about the shooting techniques that he taught Simone and the dribbling techniques as well. Put one of those special set of goggles on her, teaching her to dribble without putting her head down and watching the ball as a youngster growing up. Here she is, ISO'd on the wing. Rejected going to the basket, and Mel Thomas comes up with a loose ball. Not often you see her frustrated on offense. Houston back the other way. Rebound LSU, 7:39 to go. White running the show still at the point for LSU. And this might be where they miss Tamika Johnson from last year.
Very much so. You have a senior leader in Tamika Johnson last year who knew how to find Simone, who knew how to find Sylvia Fowles with opportunities for them to score, and also pushing tempo. When UConn has gotten his half-court defense set, LSU has not been able to get good shots. So you force it off your defense, and you try to push the basketball in transition to try to get them the ball earlier before the defense is set.
It's a 9-point game, but in the flow and scheme of things so far, it seems a lot bigger than a 9-point advantage. Thomas driving with 3 on the shot clock. Thomas has to force one up. Out of bounds, and UConn with the loose ball. Fouls with good hustle, but it went to the wrong teammate. Under 7 minutes to go. Houston working against Ashley Thomas. Houston says, I got this. Sharday Houston with the miss. Thomas clears. Thomas. Augustus trying to use those baseline screens. Fowles posting up inside and fouled in the act of shooting. She'll get 2. She's having to work for everything. Sylvia Fowles grew up playing against her 6'4" brothers. It's been just as tough tonight inside. Back after this. Back in Hartford, UConn leading by 9 with 6:13 to go in the second half. I'm Mark Jones along with Kara Lawson and Rebecca Lobo courtside. And all part of Big Monday. Number 3 LSU against number 7 UConn. And there's a look at the big story so far. Augustus and Fowles well below their season averages of 20 and 17.4 respectively. And at some point, we talked about it coming into this ball game, someone other than those two would have to score. And I think we've seen of late Kiana Chaney get in the ball game and take her shots. She's gotten some jacks up, but so far to no avail.
Well, I think Shalonda Hassan has done a tremendous job. She leads them in scoring right now at 11 points, and they do need help from their other players, but it has to be disappointing that the offensive output so far from your 2 stars, you expect a lot of them offensively UConn also has done a stellar job, I feel like, defensively on both of these two, but down the stretch, Augustus and Fowles are going to have to score for LSU to win.
And let's go to Rebecca for a huddle report from UConn.
That last huddle, Coach Auriemma looked at his team and said, on offense, execution will be crucial. It is crucial you set good screens. He said, defensively, as soon as Augustus puts the ball on the floor, go at her. We need to make Erica White shoot the ball.
Erica White, Rebecca, the neophyte at point guard, a sophomore from Jacksonville, still in the ball game, along with Hostin and Fowles and Augustus. UConn almost turned it over. Ashley Thomas also on the floor for LSU. Soignier out top. Wolf on the wing. Soignier kicks it back out. Wide open three for Thomas, which can be lethal if you're a defender. Mel Thomas with 9 in the game. The lead back up to double figures at 11.
Well, what Keisha Soignier did there is utilize her speed. She gets to the bucket. She has a sense as a point guard to know where her shooters are, and she's able to deliver a nice pass. And Mel Thomas, that's what she does. She knocks down three-point shots. Inside to Augustus.
Quick release on the turnaround and got it up to go off glass. 12 points for Simone Augustus, the player of the year. Lead back down to 9 as we approach 5 minutes to go. Soignier across the midcourt line, and I think a little over a month ago, Soignier was in Gino Auriemma's doghouse. Thomas with the miss, Augustus with the rebound. Soignier, as a result, relegated to the swimming pool, which is what Gino Auriemma does when he doesn't want to see anybody messing up any more than they already have. It's like, in the pool you go. 20 laps. Soignier doing a much better job, though, tonight. 10 on the shot clock for Hostin. White left wide open. Well, they wanted to make her a shooter. That's why. Thomas with the rebound. And she stepped out of bounds. That's exactly what Rebecca Lobo reported a few moments ago, making White a shooter. And tonight, just 36 points from LSU, a team that averages 78 per game on the season. 4:42 to go. Part of Big Monday. Don't forget, next week on Big Monday, it's #1 against #2. Tennessee against Duke. As Hunter goes back to the bench. Story of the ball game has been the player with the ball right now, Sharday Houston of UConn. Houston 10 of 22 from the field for 21 points to go along with 14 rebounds. She took control of this ball game single-handedly in the middle part of the first half, and that's going to be a foul against Ashley Thomas, trying to guard Houston. We'll catch all the smashing tennis action down under at ESPN2 serves up more coverage of the 2006 Australian Open tonight at 9:30 Eastern Time. Off the inbound pass, a steal by Hostin. Hostin must lead this team, LSU, in deflections, because she is all over the floor defensively.
Well, she is, and she, night in and night out, takes on the other team's best offensive player and has had to do a good job tonight. As you see Fowles getting the ball down the last 2 offensive possessions by LSU. You get Augustus with a layup, you get Fowles with a layup. That's what they need to go into the paint and to their too many players. But Hostin does a tremendous job on the defensive end, always working, keeping her hands active.
And Gino Auriemma calls a timeout. Nice play run that time by LSU as Sylvia Fowles had Barbara Turner in jail, trapped right under the hoop. Under 4 minutes to go, 3:51 to play. And tomorrow night, ESPN offering an exciting Big Ten matchup. Number 5, Indiana, number 11. Great game tomorrow night on ESPN. Out of the Big Ten. Here's Turner off the inbound. Houston out top. Montgomery for 3. Got it. Renee Montgomery, a former McDonald's High School All-American, a former high school teammate of Alexis Hornbuckle at Tennessee. A 10-point lead as a result for the Huskies. They continue to sag way off of White. Augustus with the ball for 3. Simone knocks it down, and the lead down to 7. She has 15. Thomas on the wing. LSU can't afford to trade buckets for much longer. Here's Strother, conspicuous by her silence offensively in this ball game.
Yeah, you got to kind of get the sense that UConn is going to milk this clock, try to shorten the game every time they get the ball on the offensive end, make it difficult for LSU to come back.
Houston going to try the three. Fouls with the rebound. Erica White now up court. Let's see what kind of shot they get. Augustus says, I got it. Inside the fouls, fouled and one. And that quiets the crowd here of over 15,000 in Hartford. The lead is down to 5 points. Turner exasperated. Montgomery with the three. But they'll need more before this is over. Gotta love the savvy, the promotional savvy of the fans here at the Hartford Civic Center. UConn #3 against Syracuse. As the sign says, it's up next on ESPN. And Jerry McNamara with a couple of back-to-back 20-point-plus games for Syracuse. And UConn, one of the few schools that had the women's and the men's team win the national championship in the same year. Sylvia Fowles going to the free throw line for LSU, trying to cut the lead to 4 points with plenty of time to go. 2:36 to play. Fowles, though, just 1 for 4 from the free throw line. 60% free throw shooter on the season. Sophomore out of Miami, Florida, just one of 3 players out of the 305 area code. Her and Florence Williams, along with another starter, Shalonda Hostin. Loki Chapman and coaching staff recruiting that South Florida area very well over the years. And Lee Ferdinand, a former LSU player and grad, fouls at the free throw line. Fouls knocks it down. The lead is down to 4. This is as close as they have been in a long time. Fouls with 10. Now a little full court pressure from LSU. Montgomery working against Hostin. 2:24 to go. LSU trying to stay among the ranks of the unbeaten in women's college basketball. They're just 1 of 4. Swanier out top. 8 on the shot clock. Turner for 3. And Fowles clears the rebound. White with a chance to cut the lead to 2 points. And a nervous cheer now coming from the over 15,000 strong here in Hartford.
If I'm LSU offensively, the ball goes to Augustus or the ball goes to Fowles.
Thomas not really the first option, but she had a great look at it. It was halfway down and out. They are really bodying up on Fowles down low, and the coaching staff, including Chapman, calling for a foul that time off the ball. Loki Chapman's voice intoning vehemently on the sideline, saying to Lisa Manley right now, hey, listen, they are really bodying up off the ball and impeding the progress. We hear every year, Kara, that's supposed to be a quote-unquote point of emphasis with the officials, right?
Quote-unquote. I've heard a lot of things that are quote-unquote points of emphasis, but that's sometimes what you can use to your advantage as a defensive player. A lot of times people don't look at what's going on off the ball, and if I'm guarding Simone Augustus off the ball, I might hold her a little bit too. I'll tell you, I didn't see it. I don't know if she was being held, but that's a strategy that I might use.
Let's look at the 4 undefeated teams. Tennessee, Duke, who we'll see next week in a 1-against-2 matchup. LSU and North Carolina. Strother inbound for UConn. 4-point lead for the Huskies. LSU with a couple of timeouts remaining. UConn with 1. Oh, Hostin almost came up with the pinch. 8 on the shot clock for Turner. Strother with the forced pull-up. LSU is out of bounds as Thomas had possession, but her feet were on the end line. 1:15 to go. 4-point lead for the Huskies.
Wow, that's a tough break there for LSU. You get what you want. A tough shot taken by Ann Strother, and you're not able to come down with the rebound. Now UConn has 30 more seconds to milk off that clock.
Talk about Ann Strother. Who would think that UConn would be in this position, leading by 4, and arguably their best player just 1 of 10 from the field tonight.
Well, I'm going to beg to differ with you or beg to argue with you. After tonight's performance, Sharday Houston might be UConn's best player, and her performance is the reason why they are ahead with Strother going for 1 for 10.
Amen on that. 1:15 to go, and LSU calls a timeout. They've got one left. This is the second meeting all time between these two franchises, these two schools. Last one was March of 2000 in the East Regional Final. Svetlana Abrasimova scoring a season-high 25, but LSU rallied to within 6 points with 12.5 to go. But UConn went on a 17-6 run, led by the efforts of Shea Ralph. Nice pass there, an assist from Sue Bird at the point, as UConn defeated LSU 86-71 en route to their second national championship. They would add 3 more. Shea Ralph now an assistant coach at Pittsburgh.
Back to Sharday Houston, Mark. There's a lot of impact players across the country, and you look at a player like her, and to me, she is the one kid on this team that has the ability to make UConn great. There's a lot of good players on this team, but when you have a player with her ability, she can make them great. She can make them a Final Four team. She can make them a potential national championship team.
Yeah, it's a great luxury when you can bring a McDonald's High School All-American off the bench as your 6th or even 7th man at times, and begs the question, at some point you would expect maybe Sharday Houston become a starter. Gino Auriemma has tinkered a lot with his starting lineup during the course of the season so far, and strangely enough, during the last 7 games, he seems to have gotten a little consistency with that starting lineup, putting Nicole Wolf into the starting lineup over the last 7 games.
Well, you have to be impressed tonight, particularly with UConn's defensive effort. And if you're going to take 2 tremendous players like Simone Augustus and Sylvia Fowles out of the game, you have to have that lunch pail mentality. You have to bring hard work, and it's come from a variety of players. We haven't seen the same player on Sylvia all night. We haven't seen the same player on Simone. It's been a total team defensive effort.
Augustus with 15. Fowles with 10. There's a look at the reset situation. LSU with 1 timeout remaining. UConn is out of timeouts. LSU needs to make something happen defensively off the inbound here, or at least have a good defensive sequence. Let's see what UConn runs out of the timeout. They throw it out top to Soignier. They double team the ball. Try to take it out of her hands. Strother in the corner. 19 on the shot clock. Houston handling out top. That's a luxury. Here's Thomas. 10 on the shot clock for Sharday Houston. Stripped by Hostin. It's a 2-on-1 for LSU. Hostin keeps it. Got her own rebound, and it was fouled by Mel Thomas with 47.2 to go. So things a lot more interesting now, as once again Shalonda Hostin comes out with a nice defensive play.
Wow, she's been stellar tonight, all night, or what, on the defensive end. Very active, getting in the passing lanes, creating an opportunity for herself. Unfortunate she's not able to finish, but here they have a set offensive play.
Fouls. White with a rare jumper knocks it down at a very opportune time for the Lady Tigers, and it's a 2-point game, just her 4th point of the contest for Erica White. They wanted to make her a shooter. They made her a shooter. She made UConn pay on that occasion. Don't forget more great women's college basketball action like this a week from tonight, Monday, 7:30 Eastern. Number 1 Tennessee with Candace Parker against number 2 Duke with Monique Curry. Tennessee defeated this UConn team 9 days ago down in Knoxville. Great schedule coming up on ESPN2. Big Mondays, Tennessee Duke next week, then North Carolina Duke on the 29th. Baylor at number 3 LSU 2 weeks from tonight. LSU Tennessee, Duke North Carolina, and UConn against Rutgers. And remember, a year ago, Kathy Pondexter got into a little jaw-jacking with the head coach of UConn. Remember, people were bumping their gums back and forth there, Kara. It was very interesting.
It always is very, very special when Rutgers and UConn get together. Let's just put it like that.
Plenty of basketball left here with 41.9 to go. Austin with a great defensive gem moments ago, leading to the Erica White jump shot. LSU with an 8-0 run over the last 2.5 minutes.
Right here, Mark, it's good.
And they turn it over. Augustus with a chance to tie now. Thomas out top. Austin for the lead. Fouls with the rebound. And it's a tie game with 26 seconds to go. LSU rattled UConn with the pressure. Houston is wide open. Fouls with the block and a foul called. Sylvia Fouls came from over the top.
Wow.
From our angle, it looked like a clean block.
It did from over here, Mark.
But we don't always have the best vantage point. Sharday Houston, the story of the game, goes to the free throw line, just a 61% free throw shooter on the season. Houston for the lead. 17.3 to go. Neither team has timeouts remaining. No timeouts remaining. Houston gives UConn a 1-point lead. Wilnette Crockett comes into the ball game for Ann Strother. Now can LSU get the ball to Augustus or fouls? This was the game time score. And here we go. UConn leading by 1. White with the ball. They double team her. Augustus for the lead. Short. Thomas with the rebound. And they foul her with 5.1 to go. Simone Augustus with a quick turnaround from about 10 feet out. Came up short.
Well, that play never really got off to a good start. You saw Erica White sort of fumble the ball as UConn ran a double team after her. And Simone Augustus taking a fadeaway almost out of bounds from the baseline. Probably not the shot that Pokey Chapman wanted with 1 point, being down 1 point.
LSU with just 5 team fouls. UConn with 6. So the Huskies will have to inbound it here. Houston to inbound. To Thomas, a good shooter. And she's fouled immediately. That's the 16th foul. So they'll have to get it inbound one more time. LSU with their unbeaten record of 14-0 in peril right now with 3.9 seconds to play. They go deep on the inbound, Turner open, and that might do it. It's over. Actually, 0.2 to go. The whistle blew with 0.2 to go. They stop the clock with 0.2 seconds to play. Barbara Turner broke deep off the inbound, and you see the grimace on the countenance of the head coach of LSU, Pokey Chapman, as the Lady Tigers seemingly now to fall from the ranks of the undefeated. Barbara Turner going to the free throw line, a 68% free throw shooter on the season.
Well, this is a huge win for Connecticut, Mark. You look at their journey they've had so far this year, even though it's young. The disappointing loss at home to North Carolina, getting blown out, this team being humbled. You fight and you play hard on the road against #1 Tennessee, and this is the maturation process. Now you're able to get a home win against #3 ranked LSU.
I think Turner was trying to miss that, and she made it. And the game is over. UConn defeats LSU. In what could be, what might be, potentially a Final Four preview between two great programs and teams. LSU held to a season-low 48 points under stifling, impenetrable defense by UConn tonight. Sharday Houston with the game of the year, perhaps the game of her young career, leading the way for the Huskies with 22 points and 14 rebounds. Courtside now to Rebecca.
Hey, Coach, you said winning this game could have a huge impact on the confidence of this team. How has your confidence in play improved so much just in the last month since the blowout to Carolina?
Well, you know, I think we came into the Carolina game, we thought we were good and we thought we knew what we had to do to win games like this, but obviously we weren't prepared from a coaching standpoint, from a confidence standpoint, you name it. And I think what's happened since December 3rd or 4th, everyone is in a real good state of mind right now, and they feel like they know exactly what to do and they can play against anybody, anywhere.
What does it say about your team that your leading scorer, Ann Stryther, can be held far below her average and still come away with such a big victory?
Well, Ann's been struggling the last week or so with a bad foot, but, you know, when you have Charday and, you know, I thought our guards played great, Keisha played great, and our big guys did an unbelievable job inside. We don't have a superstar kind of team, you know. We just need everybody to do everything every night, and it's a great win for these kids. I'm really proud of them.
Well, I'm going to talk to the superstar of this game, Charday. This is your biggest game and the biggest win of the season so far. What is it about you that when the lights go on, you play so well in the money games?
I mean, today I kind of knew that once I stepped in the call that I might have to guard Simone Augustus, you know? And I was sitting in my room and I was thinking and saying to myself that it's something that's so big. And not only is it so big, it's Simone Augustus. And my little brother called me and he told me that no matter what, God is there on your side. And he'll allow you to do anything you want to do, and that's what I believe in tonight.
Well, I think Simone Augustus is going to be going to sleep thinking about Charday Houston. Congratulations on the great game. Mark?
All right, Rebecca, 22 points, 14 rebounds for UConn's Charday Houston in the 51-48 victory as UConn hands LSU its first loss of the season. Coming up on ESPN, UConn, number 3 against number 20 Syracuse. Tip-off at 9:10 Eastern. For Rebecca and Kara, I'm Mark Jones. Right now, we're going to send it back to Trey Wingo and Stacey Dale Schumann, who are standing by in our studio. Guys?
All right, Mark, thanks very much. As you said, Rudy Gay getting set. 16 points almost and over 6 rebounds a game. Getting set as UConn takes on Syracuse on ESPN. Tip at 9:10. Big game for the Huskies. Trey Wingo back in our studios with Stacey Dale Schumann. And Stacey, look, this was a game UConn had to hang on to win. How important was it for this team that has struggled against top-ranked teams to have the confidence to beat one of these teams?
Well, very important, Trey. And Kara Lawson eloquently said that at the end of the second half. I think it was critical. They did it with their defense. They know they've struggled offensively at times. They know Charday Houston has been lost in the cloud at times, as both Gino Auriemma and she herself have made clear to the media. But they did it defensively, withstanding the power of Sylvia Fowles. Unbelievable job with the bigs. Wilnette Crockett came in at the end, but I thought Charday Houston, Barb Turner were fantastic inside. And then you bring waves of players to Simone Augustus and say, we're going to trail you, we're going to bump you, we're going to hold you, do anything we can. That is one of the best duos, if not the best duo in the country. You slow that duo, you make the other players around you beat your team, and they didn't do it tonight.
Simone Augustus held to a season-low 15 points. All right, it's good for this team, UConn. UConn is not selling out the Civic Center like they used to in Hartford. This was a big win for the program in general, was it not?
Oh, it was huge. In fact, they've only had one sellout. It was the first game of the WNIT tournament for them this year out of 7 games at the Civic Center. So this is a critical win that needs to really spur the fans in Connecticut again for this club. But tickets are, on average, $22 here at Connecticut. That's a lot of money to go to a college basketball game. And then you throw in the factor of television. There's a lot of, I think every game is televised here in Connecticut when this team plays. So you have the luxury of seeing them on TV.
Well, this should certainly help. Knocking LSU from the unbeatens. Duke, Carolina, and UNC are the only 3 left, and Tennessee. We'll see you later.